I think the issue is not being too safe. The issue is, in fact, relying on stereotypes and identity rather than science that produces policies that not only improve safety, but may, in fact, undermine safety. And all that is about the failure to treat like risks alike.
But the idea being that anal sex among heterosexuals doesn't present any specific heightened risk of HIV transmission unless one of them is infected already. But of course that's true with gay men as well. You know, if neither is infected, the fact that they're having anal sex is irrelevant. It's not going to transmit the virus unless the virus is there to be transmitted. And so what they're going on is based on epidemiological studies about what the likelihood is that an episode of transmission will take place if people engage in that. And they felt that just putting a question in for heterosexual anal sex would probably defer so many donors that the whole system would collapse. They wouldn't have enough donors.
They test every body of blood, so it's pretty much relatively safe from what I understand. But there are probably cracks in their whole system. And like I said, where it's happened to me, I'd hate to have someone else. Just the medical part that I went through with the interferon, that was another whole ordeal. You know, I don't wish that on my worst enemy. Not that I have any enemies, but well, the program that I got into, which was through the doctor, because there's different stages. It depends on how serious your case is. I guess I was on a scale of 1 to 10, probably like an 8, and I was dying. I didn't know it, so they put me on a pretty high scaled. I had to do a shot once a week and several pills each day, and those pills and the shot would make me so weak some days. I could, just to get out of bed, I would have to roll out onto my knees and push everything I had with my hands and my legs just to stand up.
The Advisory Committee on Blood Safety and Availability recommended not to recommend an alternative policy at that time, but they did acknowledge that the current policy for blood donation as it pertains to gay and bisexual men was, quote, suboptimal. Their justification at that time was that they didn't have sufficient data to support what an alternative policy might mean for any elevated risk to the blood supply.
I would say every population is at risk for contracting HIV if they're engaging in risk behaviors, and that can include sharing needles for intravenous drug use or other injected substances. It could include risk, unprotected sex, whether it's anal or vaginal, has risk of transmission, regardless of whether you're gay, straight, male, female, cisgender, or transgender.
It's not the person who's donating. It's the person who's receiving. Okay? I have not ever been allowed to donate my blood in my entire life. I've had to find other ways to serve my country because that's just not the deck of cards I got. So they're never going to want my blood. They're not going to want my blood because I'm HIV positive. They're not going to want my blood because I'm Hep C positive. I cleared my hepatitis B, but I have hemophilia. They're never going to want my blood. It's just not going to happen. Okay? And I'll be shocked if they want my son's blood. They certainly don't want my wife's blood. So, you know, I understand because I've been discriminated against, not necessarily because of my blood, but more the color of my skin. So I understand the societal impacts of it, but we've got to do everything we can to make sure that what we're doing is a safe thing to do.